Hey guys, first of all, sorry these videos are so all over the place. I don't know how to combine them, like there's money, dating, life, random vlogs, piano stuff, news, stuff about politics, real estate, so I don't know. Part of my own development journey is exploring all these topics for myself, but there's also the whole technical aspect to it being a YouTube channel, and a lot of you have suggested putting things in categories, adding thumbnails, making it look nicer, but I still don't know what all the categories would be, even now. I'm still kind of playing around with it, so I guess in the meantime I'm just gonna freestyle and keep making these videos because I don't know about you, but they're really helping me stay sane. By the way, if you have a personal diary where you keep your thoughts and feelings, I'd highly recommend it. It doesn't have to be like this in a public video format for the whole world to see, but maybe just something where you get to map out what's going through your mind. For a lot of us who have racing thoughts, it helps us to feel a lot more focused. Also, I spend most of my time alone, so it feels nice to feel like I'm still communicating with other people. Back to the topic of this video. What is causing your depression? Is it a limiting belief you have about the world or yourself? Is it maybe a traumatic experience that you've had in the past? Or does it simply come down to a chemical imbalance? These are questions that I ask myself every day. I'm still trying to figure out in my own life. And I actually ran a poll about this on Twitter. The results were actually kind of close. As you can see, the chemical imbalance won, but a lot of you also said all of the above in the replies. And I do believe a big part of it is how all these things feed into each other. So, for example, limiting beliefs. One example of a limiting belief is the belief that your depression is permanent. If you believe that your depression is permanent, then you won't do anything to fix your depression, which includes chemically balancing yourself by improving your lifestyle, working out, eating healthy, fixing your relationship, all these natural ways of feeling happier. If you believe that happiness is possible, then you're going to be a lot more motivated to do all those things, which affect your brain chemicals. You'll also be more motivated to stay away from bad situations that could further traumatize you and make you even more depressed, such as staying away from other depressed people who might make you more depressed. One thing that I've been working on myself, in addition to going to therapy, working out, spending time around families which tend to be happier, working on my finances, and staying away from negative triggers, all things that could worsen my depression, is focusing on the limiting beliefs and ideas that have been demotivating me to work on those things until now, or making me still feel like I'm depressed even when I go to the gym and I'm staying on top of all these lifestyle things. Some of these beliefs and ideas might even be subconscious, which is why even when we do everything that we thought we needed to do to stop us from getting depressed, the depression still hits us and we don't know why. By the way, I know for a fact that constantly exploring yourself and constantly paying attention to the details, analyzing why you might be depressed, what is causing the depression, all this stuff, is actually a really good way to fix your depression. It's not overthinking or going over the top or anything like that, because I've been exploring this in myself for years and constantly changing, adjusting my lifestyle, where I live, what I do, who I'm around, and I have definitely seen progress in my own mental health since I was younger. The people who know me personally will also tell you that they've seen a huge change in me as a person, my confidence levels, my ability to communicate, to be around people, make eye contact. And a lot of you on the internet have even said the same thing, even though I've only been making these videos for a few years. But obviously, the human mind is so complex and there's a lot more work for me to do. I'm sure a lot of you are the same. So here are some of the questions that I'm currently asking myself. What beliefs do I have deep down from when I was a really small child that make me think that I'm destined to be depressed all my life? First of all, let's think about the subconscious beliefs that may have been instilled in us from early childhood, whether intentionally or through traumatic experiences. I remember growing up, my relatives would talk about how my dad's side of the family struggled with depression and it was a genetic thing. And they said, oh, it's permanent. There's nothing you could do to fix it other than prescription drugs, but don't tell anybody about that because it's permanent and it can never be fixed, and if anybody finds out, they're never gonna marry you. So aside from having actual traumatic experiences when I was a child, there was also this belief that I had that no matter what happens in life, I am destined to be depressed, at least through my DNA. And then growing up, getting out in the world, I would hear these beliefs echoed back through secular society. Big pharma telling you that your depression is permanent, it's genetic, there's nothing you can do to fix it other than prescription drugs. By the way, telling a child that they're genetically predisposed to be depressed for life, and then telling them that they shouldn't tell anybody about this really heavy thing, and if they do, then nobody will marry them and they'll die alone, is a great way to set up that child for both depression and a deep feeling of isolation. The limiting beliefs that I racked up as a kid were never ending, and I know it's not just me. I know a lot of people are going through this. I grew up believing that as a woman, I wouldn't succeed in anything other than getting married and being a mommy and a stay-at-home cook and maid, and that I would always need a man in order to survive in the world. And by the way, people treat that belief as if it's helping men, but sometimes not only it's not helping men, it's hurting relationships, because when you feel like you need a man in order to survive as a woman, and that your man isn't going to want you to have your own careers and interests, and he's going to force you to be his own personal cook and cleaner and babysitter, that can really make you resent the idea of men as lovers. And I think I struggle with that a lot. I know it's not everybody's experience because not everybody grew up in such a traditional community like mine, and I know that it's a false belief that I can easily fix, but it's definitely going to take some time, and until I resolve this belief that's negative and false, I'm going to keep ending up in unhealthy relationships with men. Another limiting belief that I could think of, as a child, I believed that there was something wrong with being alone. I really enjoyed being alone and reading, learning about the world, making art, sometimes little business ideas I had even as a kid. I still haven't changed in that regard, but from when I was a kid, I was constantly being told, you need to socialize. You need to be making friends right now. Stop being alone. It's sad. Even now, 20 years later, I feel like I'm doing something wrong by working out alone or working on my laptop instead of being with other people 24/7. Don't get me wrong, I genuinely enjoy being around other people, but I also really enjoy my alone time. And because of this limiting belief from when I was little that makes me feel like I can't be happy if I'm alone, it's like my brain is forcing itself to be a lot less productive, because in the background, it's constantly humming, gotta be around people, gotta be around people. And that's why if you notice me saying I always work at coffee shops instead of working at home, because I still feel like I'm doing something wrong and I'm distracted when I'm completely alone. There's a lot of these negative beliefs that I took in as a child, and I'm sure for other people they're different beliefs, but I'm going to add just one more. So in the religious community I grew up in, we were taught that everybody outside of our community was living a sad and depressed life. And anybody who tries to get out of that community is going to be sad and soulless and depressed, probably get addicted to drugs and alcohol, and go generally down on a downward spiral. So on top of the limiting beliefs that I had, that I was destined for this future that I really didn't want, I also had this additional limiting belief kick in that once I left the religious community, I would become depressed. Now these are limiting beliefs. I also had a lot of positive beliefs given to me as a kid. There were so many. For example, my parents would take me to see rabbis very often, or like a public figure, and whenever whenever we'd go and visit them, they would give me a blessing, and they would take one look at me and say, this girl is going to be very wealthy when she grows up, and she will live a very blessed life. So yeah, when you go and visit a rabbi, it's generally for the purpose of getting a blessing, but I felt like I always got this special blessing that I'm going to be very wealthy. And I don't remember if it's because I would bring it up or what, because I always had this trauma around money. But I took it to heart. It meant a lot to me, and even through all the self-defeating mental struggles that I've had with myself over the years, this single belief that I'm going to be very wealthy and I will live a very blessed life carried me through all the hard times. And it really did. I feel incredibly grateful to those rabbis for giving me that. One rabbi told my parents that in the future I will be very happily married and give birth to 7 children. That was something I hung on to even after leaving the religious community and thinking this is all farce. I still to this day hang on to those positive beliefs because I know how valuable they are. To me, those beliefs are literally the difference between a happy versus an unhappy life. I try to repeat those positive beliefs to myself and to other people as much as possible. And I know a lot of people are skeptical of the practice of affirmations, like what difference does it make if you say it if it won't actually happen? But it does actually happen because you have no idea how much your deeply ingrained beliefs are doing for you subconsciously, even in your sleep, and you aren't even aware of it. And there is a way to control your subconscious beliefs by constantly repeating certain things to yourself. There's so much to explore in your mind, and gosh, this video is getting so long that I'm thinking maybe we'll just continue discussing this in another video. But for now, the first thing I want you to consider, as I'm doing right now, is that maybe the reason that you're feeling depressed, no matter what you do, is because of a very deeply ingrained belief that you're destined for depression, for whatever reason. Maybe you're a dentist, and years ago you heard that dentists have the highest depression rate, and that statistic stuck with you. In the coming weeks, as much as you can, watch videos that tell you that you're destined to be happy. Even if you don't believe it right now, keep telling yourself that you're destined for happiness, and spend as much time as you possibly can around positive people who tell you that you're destined for happiness. Put art up around your home that communicates to you that you're destined for happiness, for love, wealth, greatness, whatever you want. And I promise to myself and to you guys, this is something that I'm going to try and do for myself, because I believe in that. Beliefs can be very powerful. They're not, but they're not more powerful than our actions and our affirmations, which can like completely change the direction of even our most subconsciously held beliefs. Okay. Enough talking for now. See you guys in the next video, and I hope you're all staying safe and healthy.